So tonight I'm going to attempt to make what I said I was going to make Sunday in Thomas's stream, and I never did. Under the weather. I'm gonna make a pair of railroad spike tongs out of railroad spikes. So the idea is I'll be able to make each half out of one spike. Hi, Thomas. So I think the way I'm going to attack this, I'm going to take the first spike, set off the edge of my anvil, and drive this nub down. Then I can bend the head up, and that mass I can punch a hole in, and I'll forge that into the ring. Then I can do the boss and draw the reins out. Oh yeah, and Thomas, I said I like dark beers every now and then. Guinness Extra Stout. Heavies. Well, despite trying to set that nub down first, I still ended up with some cold shuts. You can kind of see them up here. There's a hammer blow. Got a cold shut on each side where that head laid over. It is a very fancy beer. So I think I'll try to sprinkle some flux in there and take a quick welding heat. Don't want those cracks to propagate. Cold shuts. I was texting Jake Thomas, and he's gonna try and make something real quick tonight for the challenge. So sweet. And I have 2 orders that shipped today that I purchased, not something I made. So I should be getting everything here pretty soon for my flintlock rifle. Got my barrel, the lock kit, some pieces of German silver for inlays. Broke down and bought a very salty book for shows different styles of period rifles. So pretty excited. Yep. Yeah, I hope so, but he's working on it. Originally, when I came out to the shop tonight, I was actually going to make a pair of pliers as part of the toolkit for the rifle. And I thought I'd make a pair of pliers out of wrought iron and try to essentially forge weld, because it's kind of brazing or forge welding a slug of brass onto the jaws, so they'd be soft jaw pliers for the flintlock. And then I could enter that as part of the competition too. But I didn't know if 2 tools would really technically allowed. Um, and if I did that, I was going to use one of your wrought iron links, and then so you could watch me unbend it and see if it broke. Stone. Was that Matthew you talking about? Not sure what his YouTube handle is. I don't remember that. If it's Matthew, yes, he did get a hold of me. Alright. Took a little welding heat and got those closed up. Yeah. Yep. He got a hold of me. Right in front of me. I'm going to try to punch a hole. Start drifting it, and then I'll probably use the horn, maybe my bickern, to shape it. There we go. Got a nice hole started. Hi, Jeff. Looks like it's just you, me, and Thomas. This little punch drift that I made, it's H13 steel, and I love this thing to death. But, being H13, I don't want to quench it, which is kind of annoying, especially when using it as a drift. Now I'll probably drift it until, or just drive this through, that's 3/4, and then after that I'll work it on either the horn or my bick, because I don't want to drift the entire thing. There's so much mass there to stretch. I could, drift that thing out to 2 inches round, and it'd obviously be way too big for railroad spike tongs. I'd rather work it over a horn and almost upset the material back into itself and end up with a bit thicker of a jaw. Probably a bit better than 1/2 inch now. Now dropping in the hardy hole to punch this down to loosen the drift wasn't the best idea because I put these shoulders on it, but I don't want to forge these sides down any, so I could try to hang it off the anvil and drive it back in, but in the heat of the moment, that didn't really cross my mind. It's starting to get a bit warm. And there we go. Got a 3/4 hole through there. Obviously it'll need stretched out quite a bit to grab on the end of a spike. But on our way. Now I do have a pair of these railroad spike from Ken's Custom Iron. I think these were the Rapid. Oh, those look like 3/8. I thought it was the Rapid set that was 5/16, but like I said, all this was brought on by you know, me talking the talk without walking the walk in Thomas's live stream on Saturday. So here we are. Also, would you guys be interested? I'm getting ready to start building a 50 caliber flintlock. You may have seen some of my videos making the trigger guard and the butt plate. Would you guys be interested in some videos and or live streams on that? It's going to be mostly woodworking. Be a lot of you just sitting on the bench watching me work. Would you be interested in seeing that process? Gonna go with the cone. Got that mostly trued up. Okay. Well, I just, like I said earlier, I just ordered all the parts and they're all shipped. So hopefully here within the next week or so, that can become a reality. I got that pretty well trued up. Probably come over to the horn now. Got a good solid ring started. And just that little bit of truing on that horn. I'm just shy of 7/8, about 13/16. So it's amazing how much that material moves. You can find yourself making that way too big, way too fast. A lot of material there. good luck with that, Jeff. I'll be praying for you. Fast recovery, and hope it all works out. I just turned my Wi-Fi off, so hopefully the reconnecting thing doesn't happen like it did that one time. Ew. Didn't drop forge it. So even after dressing it, you can see how much thicker that is by forging over the horn and upsetting that height this way into width. And that right there, it's not a perfect circle, about 1 3/16 inches. And that's getting, once you upset that into an oval, that's getting pretty dang close. I'll probably stop right there, switch over to the boss, and then draw the reins out, and then address it once all that's done. You'd watch me blow dry paint. You're a sad, sad soul, Thomas. Now, one interesting thing is I need to get proper tongs to hang on to railroad spike stock. Bending that head over and then punching that eye, it's already given me a offset. You're here to support me. I really do appreciate it. You're a good man, Tom. So I'm going to use that offset as if I was making regular tongs, where this will be when I was forging the jaw. Now I go away from my tong hand, set the boss, then roll again to set down for the reins. So Thomas, how's your project coming on? I haven't been on Instagram in a little while, so I don't know if anybody's posted anything. Or Jeff. By the way, this little pineapple twist fire poker I made, I love it. So handy. All right, Jeff, take care. Can't blame you there. Thomas, I don't believe you did. If you did and I was too tipsy to remember, I'm sorry. I mean, we're late enough now in the challenge. What was it? I feel like maybe we talked about it, but I do not recall a video. Yeah, I do remember you saying you made a draw knife now. I don't believe you sent me the video, but I remember you saying you were making a draw knife. And you don't have to stay with me. I really don't care. Troy and Eli is a great bunch of people, and a bunch of people hang out there, so. I'm just out here farting around. You can always watch my video later. Or not watch it all. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just having fun. Now, this is going to be kind of sketchy. Hanging on to that guy. Take another heat. So it kind of recentered that guy. But I've got my offset now for the boss. My offset started for the reins. I appreciate it, Thomas. And by the way, any criticism or critique, you see me doing something you think it'd be better a different way, let me know. I'm willing to learn. Got off a little somewhere on the way. Dang it. Starting to get that boss cleaned up, offset back down. Probably flip it around and draw out from the other end now. I forged it in, Thomas. So what I did, I tried to knock this hump down by putting this off the anvil. Try to drive this hump down, and then I straightened this out, and the head became what I punched the hole in and drifted it open for that jaw. I ended up with a little bit of cold shuts on each corner, so I took a welding heat and kind of set those. That's how I basically it made its own isolated mask for the jaw. Who doesn't love drawing out reins? I'm actually going to switch to my bit heavier hammer. This guy's a 3 pound. Move the material a bit quicker. Change of butt? Oh. Okay. No, I did not reconsolidate that mass. I drove this hump down and then flattened out, straightened out the head, and that head became the mass at the end that I punched a hole in and drifted and made the jaw out of. It's got all sorts of whopper jaw on me. Actually, I think it's drawn out enough. Switch over to these. Oh yeah. I prefer, I said this on my railroad spike challenge video, I prefer half on, half off blows on the far side of the anvil for drawing out. To me, it's just more natural, a bit more efficient. Sorry, it's kind of boring while I'm taking a heat. Really can't see much. These were a pair of tongs. I need to revisit bolt jaws that I made out of a pair of railroad spikes. But I could only get the reins out this long. Way too close to be comfortable. But they're made, just like bolt jaws are, to clear the head. I can grab onto square stock. So sometime I need to nip these off. I'll take the rivet out, nip these off, and weld longer reins onto them. Because as they stand from the Boss, they only have, if you can even read it, about 9.5 inch reins. They need to be at least 1.5 that. Have a nice 14 inch, 12 inch is cutting it close. 14 inch is more comfortable for sure, especially holding on to a mast like a railroad spike. Doing a lot of whaling on. I need to revisit those. Maybe that can be another stream or another video. So that heat alone, going off the far side, which I'm more comfortable with, I probably gained 3 inches or so. And there's still a lot of mass here. And the reins from about the center of the Boss as it sits, we're already at 9.5 inches. Thomas, I could try to weld more on. Arc weld for sure. But you know me, I love forge welding. The problem is, when I made these, I'm sure I lost a crap ton to scale because I was not very efficient. The problem is, it's a fairly consistent size about halfway. And then I started to really thin them out. So I don't really have the mass here. I could cut them off back here, only cut, 2.5 inches off, upset that and scarf it. But I really started to draw it out, trying to get more out of it. So I'm better off just nipping them and then just forge welding some 3/8 round stock on and be done. All right, so I definitely have from about here back a lot more material I can pull out. And from about the center of the boss, I've got just over 11-inch rain. So I should be able to pull that back to 13-inch probably. But for now, I'm just going to leave that so you can see got the bit where I can shape it. Head'll slip in there. Got my boss. I need to redo this set down. Kind of had some ugly crap happen there. And then got the range drawn out. And it all started as a railroad spike. A lot more material than most people give it granted for. So I'm going to let this cool down so I can just hold on to it with my hand. Get a bit more control that way for fine-tuning, finish drawing this out. And actually, now that I look at it, from all that hammering, see my offset on the boss, but the eye is going this way. I need it to go that way. And so I'll probably finish drawing out the reins, round them over, and then correct that. But I'll probably wait to correct that till I forge the other half and just see how it's all coming together. Not too bad for an hour worth of forging and talking for half of it. I tell you what, Thomas, these extra stouts, they're hitting the spot right now. Yeah, that's the really cool thing about blacksmithing, Thomas. That's why I love it so much. New things out of old, especially wrought iron. Because wrought iron, I mean, you get that, you see the grain and you can tell, how it was worked, and you can tell by the grain structure whether it was something structurally important or if it was just a wagon tire. And just to see the history in it. And then I like to think back, and it's like 100, 150, 200 years ago when the wheelwright was making this wagon tire. How blown away would they be if they knew that 200 years later, somebody that was still blacksmithing would repurpose it into something they'd never heard of. It's crazy. I love it. Jake and I, we tried to make a like a, what's it called? Smelting furnace? I don't know. But we made one, and the goal was to make wrought iron. And when I worked at the machine shop, I saved all of the bandsaw shavings. And so we tried to smelt it into a bloom. We got a really big bloom, really nice bloom. But it would just crumble. And so we kind of blew the idea off. And then I started working at a different machine shop. And I actually worked with a guy who took classes, I don't know who from, but I think it was in Minnesota, of smelting steel. And he took classes, the whole process of creating a bloom, refining it. And I explained to him what happened, and he said, when you're smelting wrought iron, you're using pure iron with no carbon in the form usually of an oxide, and it picks up trace amounts of carbon from the fuel. So what happened is I used modern steel, or we used modern steel in our smelt, and so we already had a medium to high carbon steel. It picked up trace amounts of carbon from the charcoal and became cast. So use plasma sand. That would probably work. Yeah, just take like a magnet over it because all the carbon is essentially burnt out. Actually, Rowan Taylor, he has a video on him trying to make wrought iron or just smelt iron in general, and he used dirt from his shop, all the grinding dust and all that crap. And I really wish he would have dug into it deeper, but he had a semi-successful smelt. But that's definitely something I want to see if Jake's up to trying again. Maybe this summer we can try that. I was wondering about using forge scale because I've got more of that than I know what to do with. We just chuck it out in the woods with the ashes from the burn pit. Still too hot to hang on to. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night for now. Go in and make something to eat for dinner. So, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Maybe I'll jump in on Bar Run Forge's live stream if they're still going. Talk to y'all later.